Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Obama's Defense of Marriage Act dereliction, the silver lining. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law, in today for Matt Staver. And joining me in studio is Deryl Edwards, President of Liberty Counsel Action and a Director with Liberty University School of Law. Well, Deryl, it's been all over the news, primarily in the conservative news, because the mainstream media has largely spiked the story. President Obama, for the first time a president has done this that I can find, there may be other instances, has really abrogated his job as president and his duty to defend the Constitution and to uphold the laws of the land by saying that he's going to throw in the towel and as ordering his Justice Department not to defend in court the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, which passed with overwhelming bipartisan support and was signed into law by Democratic President Bill Clinton at the time. This is merely the law that protects marriage, traditional marriage as between one man and one woman, and protects states from being forced to accept a radical redefinition of marriage from other states like Vermont or Massachusetts and so forth. So the story is kind of twofold here. President Obama really just unilaterally and arbitrarily determining through edict that this law is unconstitutional. You know, it's when did he become the judiciary is question A. But then what is going to happen with it now? And that's when I introduced the topic today, I mentioned a silver lining, and there is a silver lining here. But first of all, when I heard about this, my jaw just dropped. I could not believe the hubris of this president to refuse to do his job.
What you see here, Matt, is been typical all along in this administration, and it's sort of typical of the liberal elitism that they really get to call the shots because they're all much smarter than the rest of us, even duly elected representatives. And if they wanted to redefine the law or strike out parts of it or just ignore enforcing it, they feel that they have the ability to do so and the freedom to do so.
Well, that's exactly right. And you know, I believe it was John Adams that said we are a nation of laws, not a nation of men. And this president is acting as if he is king. He is acting as if he is the despot, the dictator of this nation. And not just on this issue, but on on manifold issues, he has done the same thing, and it's very disconcerting. Well, the good news is Liberty Counsel was at the forefront in reaching out to Congress. We've been in communication with the leadership in Congress, House leadership. And the good news is that it looks like, according to our friends at Newsmax.com and other publications, that in our conversations, that House Leader John Boehner is looking to go ahead and step in, which is their right as congressmen, as representatives for having passed this law. They're going to step in and defend this DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, in President Obama and Attorney General Eric Holder's stead. The good part of that is that whereas Obama may have been trying to do something to benefit proponents of so-called same-sex marriage, now it looks like the Obama administration was essentially laying down and throwing in the towel to begin with. It was a very weak defense. Now we actually have people with a vested interest who are concerned and may actually step in as zealous advocates to defend marriage and defend DOMA. So this really looks like it's shaping up to be a colossal strategic backfire on the part of President Obama.
Well, hasn't this happened before? Didn't we see the rise of the Tea Party as a backfire against the Obama health care plan and all the other things that they've tried to force on us and run down our throats? So it tends to do that to them because they don't seem to know how to follow democratically elected principles and the Constitution.
Isn't that the interesting thing about checks and balances? Every time this president overreaches, as you point out, and in this place just grossly overreaching and abrogating his duty and abandoning his duty to defend the laws of this land, the system is in place to step in, and in this case with Congress to step in where he refused to do his job. You mentioned Obamacare. I think that it's great that you bring that up. Just think, Deryl, imagine the uproar, the outrage, if, let's say, in 2012 a Republican were elected. And let's say that Obamacare continues to work its way through the courts. And a new Republican president, after a victory in the appeals court saying that Obamacare is unconstitutional, just says, no, that's it. I've decided unilaterally that Obamacare is unconstitutional, therefore I'm not going to enforce it. We are going to and not defend it in court. We're just going to let it wither on the vine. Can you imagine how the mainstream media would treat that? But instead, the mainstream media is elevating President Obama as a hero for doing the exact thing with a duly passed law that is currently working its way through the courts that has been held over and over again to be constitutional, and one renegade judge says suddenly that it's not, and somehow there was a constitutional right for Patrick Henry to marry Henry Patrick, as I often say, which is just absurd. Imagine with Obamacare, though.
Well, thankfully, we have other outlets other than the mainstream media, as many of us remember having 30 years ago when you had the 3 or 4 networks, and we have lots of alternatives and alternative media to be able to come back in. But to go back to the point about backfiring against him, just consider, because of Obamacare, that it enraged people so much that we do have the Republican-controlled Congress, which now can step in and fight this case where the administration has abrogated. And so because of the backfire against Obamacare, we now have people who will stand up like Speaker Boehner and say, that's okay, we'll take care of it. If it had not been for Obamacare, the Democrats probably would have still controlled the House.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This president's actions have been gross overreaches over and over again. Well, the opposite reaction to that is that the American people are rising up against his radical secular socialist agenda. Well, Speaker Boehner told Newsmax, he said, quote, DOMA is the law of the land. It was passed overwhelmingly in both the House and the Senate, and I think it is outrageous for the president to say, well, we're not going to enforce it. It's the law of the land. It's the job of the Justice Department to defend the work of our government. I just think it is outrageous. We are looking at our options, what's available to us to intervene. The long and short of it is we are going to intervene. The question is, how do we do it? So, again, big backfire on the part of this president, and it's crucial that we intervene here. And, the left loves to create this false perception of inevitability on certain things. And with marriage, that's one of the issues. They really like to say, it's going to happen. You might as well give up. Well, guess what? In 31 states where marriage has gone before the people, even in the far left liberal states, legitimate natural marriage, people have voted to protect it. There is no inevitability here. Polls even show, and they'll cite their skewed polls, but polls show that, yes, some of the younger people are leaning toward or are buying into the propaganda of the homosexual activist lobby, but the reality is it is not inevitable. The reality is DOMA is the law of the land. It's absurd to say that it is unconstitutional, and it's encouraging to see this speaker and conservatives and Republicans in Congress stepping up to defend it.
Well, it's funny how there's a sort of a tie between what the Attorney General is doing and what the legislators in Wisconsin are doing. It seems like when the Democrats, especially the liberals, don't like their job, they just refuse to do it if it means leaving town. I'm surprised the Attorney General and the Justice Department didn't just close down and move out of Washington if they had to do the job.
Well, that's exactly right. They, rather than doing their job as they were elected to do, they just pack up and leave town. Well, we've seen this is a winner for conservatives. It's a winner for 2012. This will be a campaign issue. This reminds us that elections have consequences. It reminds us that if you want your values represented in the culture, if you want your values represented in public policy, biblical values, you need to vote for people who share those values. This will be a big campaign issue in 2012. It will motivate conservative evangelicals, Christians, to get out the vote. Every time marriage has been on a ballot, it has helped conservatives who are running for political office. We expect the same thing to happen here. I would encourage you to visit Liberty Counsel's website, see what we're doing to defend marriage. Ask for same-sex marriage, putting every household at risk. Go to lc.org. Or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776 for a contribution. We can send you off this book. So to learn more about Liberty Counsel, go to lc.org or give us a call, 800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.